Hello, Greta here, and today I wanted to show you how I go about making a slab plate. This will be the first in a series of videos that I will be posting to my resource page on my website, and I hope that they help you while you explore your relationship with clay and explore the different techniques that are available for using with clay. So let's get started. So slab plates come in different shapes. You can have round plates, or you can have oval plates, which is what I have made in the past, but now I am going to be making round ones, right? You can also make them in different shapes and sizes. Right. So far, I have one here that is now bone dry, okay, and this one is what we are going to be making. It's one like this, so stay tuned for that. Your options for making slab plates are: one, you can make a slump mold. A slump mold means that your slab is going to be sitting inside a vessel, right? And you slump it or shape it inside that vessel, like here, all right? So if I put a slab inside of here, that is a slump mold. The next option is a drop mold. A drop mold means that you are taking the clay and you are draping it over a surface or dropping it on top of a surface, right? And that surface can be a plaster mold, or in this case a bisque mold that I made, right? So this mold was thrown on the wheel, this plate was thrown on the wheel, and it was bisque fired to cone 04. And this is what we're going to be using to make our plates. We are going to be draping the clay over this surface and allowing it to form the shape of the plate. Right? Other options for making slab plates is that you can buy pre-made molds. There are places in the US that create molds for your plates, right? So you can go online and check that out. Or if you have a ceramic supplier that can help you to source molds to make plates. So your tools that you are going to be using, tools and materials that you're going to be using to make this mold is, of course, clay. And I am using cone 10 porcelain. This is called Norma's porcelain that can be sourced from Laguna clay, but you can use any clay that is suitable for your kiln. Rolling pin, and again your rolling pin should be determined by the size of plate that you're going to make, or size of slab that you're going to roll out, or if you have one, you can use a slab roller. And of course, if you're using a rolling pin, these are going to come in handy, these two strips. These you put on either side of your clay to help you to get the right consistency in terms of thickness. When you're rolling out the slab, you want to roll it out at least a 1/4 inch thick so that you can manipulate the clay properly. You're going to also need ribs. I have a metal rib and I have a nice mud tool soft rib as well as a mud tool hard rib. I have and also knife for cutting, right? A small one for in case you need to bevel or cut a nice thing at an angle, and of course your ceramic knife. These are the tools and a sponge. And of course, finally, your mold. Now it's a useful thing to have a piece of canvas that you can spread on your table, and also you will need a board. This one is drywall that you can cut to whatever size you want, and just use duct tape around your sides to keep it from fraying out and getting into your clay. And of course you will need a banding wheel, but I will show you that in a little while. Okay, so your first step is to take your board, your strips of wood, and put them in place. And then you are going to get your clay into shape, right? It's going to be noisy. Get your clay into shape. You can use your hand, you can use your rolling pin to help break it down a little bit and flatten it out a little bit, right, which makes rolling it easier. Now, as I said, if you have a slab roller, if you're lucky enough to have a slab roller, it makes it all the more easier to get your slab to the right thickness. Okay, when you get it to like about this thick, what you can do now is drop it. And you want to drop it in such a way that you are dropping it and kind of moving it towards you. This helps to spread the clay and flatten it out. And you can always use your spray bottle to dampen your canvas surface so that it keeps from drying out the clay. This part of the process can also be done on your wooden surface before you put down your canvas, if you're not going to put down your canvas. Once you have your clay to a nice size and dimension, you start rolling out your slab. You want to roll all the way out, and then you're turning your slab as you go. Now, notice I'm not doing that. I'm trying to get one fluid motion to get my slabs rolled out. And I'm stopping and I'm turning, and with each turn I'm rotating the slab so that you get a different direction every time. Now make sure that your strips are in position, because you don't want to be rolling out your slab and your strips are not there. What the strips do is that when your clay has reached to the optimum size, your rolling pin is going to knock on the strips, and you'll know that you are at the right thickness. Okay, so you roll out the slab. Now what you want to do is make sure you roll out a slab that is bigger than the mold that you're going to use, right? You're going to cut off the excess. It's best to have more clay than less, right? So I'm going to roll out the slab and I'll see you back here. Okay, so I have my slab rolled out. What we're going to do now is we're going to take our rib and we are going to compress the clay. What that does is that it removes all the lines that we created, all the texture that we created from the canvas. I mean, if it's your thing, if having canvas texture is pleasing to you, you can keep it. Otherwise, you take your rib and you smooth it down so that you have a nice surface to work with. You go that way, horizontally, and then vertically, and then diagonally. Right. This also helps to, for want of a better term, calm down all those particles that you interfered with while you were slamming the clay and rolling it out. Okay, and then you set aside and you get your back. Now, as you can see, I have my mold elevated above the surface of my banding wheel, right, so that I can have a nice surface to work with, and I can get under there if I need to. So what we're going to do now is going to take our slab and we are going to drape it over our mold, and you're going to gently just press it into place. You're gonna get here and just start going around from top, going around to sides. Now you're pressing gently down on the slab, right? You're not pulling at it or pushing at it. You're just pressing it onto that mold that you have there. A nice thing to have in your studio is a cheese cutter. I took off the rolling part of this, and now I can use it to cut my slab. Put it there and just use the edge of Now, the nice thing with working with slabs is that you don't have any wastage of clay. All you do with this now is dip it in some water, give it a quick wedge, and put it back in the bag. And that will come in handy when we are doing our feet. If you are so inclined, you can add a foot to your plate, or you can leave it flat. It's always better to add a foot. That way you get to control the amount of heat. Okay, So now we continue to move our rib around our plate. So our plate has set up. We have ribbed it, and I'm not going to interfere with the rim just yet. Leaving that for last. What we're going to do now is we are going to make our foot ring, and we're going to decide where we're putting that foot ring on our plate. So two tools that you should try not to be without in your studio, but you can always modify some other thing to get one. A serrated rib, right? A sharper tooth, and of course a scratching tool, right? These are what's going to help me to put on my to score the area that I'm going to put on my foot ring. Now for deciding where your foot ring is, you look at where the plate has turned, and the area just before that turn is the area that you're going to put on your foot ring, right? The area just where the plate starts to curve upward inside, right? Or where it curves downward on the outside. And so we take our serrated rib and we mark out the spot for the foot ring. Right, so you score that area and you set it aside to roll out your slab, your coil. So I have a piece of clay, and I'm going to use this to roll out my coil for my plate. It's alright that it's more clay than I will need. It's not waste. Right, so what I usually do before I start to roll that coil out is I go around the piece of clay and I just kind of squeeze it into a more manageable log. Try as far as possible to get it even, so you're not squeezing one area more than the next. And I go up and down, and you notice as I do that, the coil starts to lengthen. I give it a little roll, and then I go down to the mat and I start to roll. Right, so let me show you the technique for rolling out a coil so that it doesn't flatten on any of the sides. So when you're rolling out your coil, you want to make sure that you're not pushing on it like that or leaving it in one place. Your hands are like this, and your slab, these areas are important. Your tips, your pads, and your heel of your hands. Right, so you are pushing it, and as you press down, you roll it forward, and then you roll it back. You roll it forward, and then you roll it back. All right, and as you do that, you lengthen your hand out to the end, so that as you roll, the slab gets longer. Right, try as fast as possible to make sure that your hands are clay free. Right, as you see how I had my hands just now with all the dry clay on it, it's going to start to cause that problem. And we don't want that problem, right? But that can be fixed, right? So as you roll back and forth, you're lengthening your slab, your coil, until it gets to what you want. And what you can always do is, if it's getting too long, you can cut piece of your coil off and set it aside and continue rolling your slab. I keep calling this a slab, but it's a coil. Now what we're aiming for is a coil that is about a ½ inch in diameter. With a piece of clay that's long enough to go around our plate without adding any joints, right? We want to get one smooth rotation on our plate so that it does not cause any stress problems. And you can always go around and check the length of your coil to make sure that you have enough. Right? So I'm going to finish this up and we'll get back to you. So our coil is ready. And as you can see, it is much longer than our plate needs, which is great, so that we can cut off the excess and we're in a good place. Right. So like the plate, you want to score your coil. And then what I do is I take my brush and I have a solution. It's called magic water. It's a mix of vinegar, water, and sodium silicate, and that's what I use to attach all my joints. So I take this and I go around that area that I scored on the plate. And then I score my coil. And I start from one end and I lay my coil down. I don't start pressing it in yet. I lay it down first to make sure that I get it in the position that I want it before I start to really press down into the clay. When I get around to my join, as this area here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my serrated rib and I am going to cut at an angle, right? So that when I cut, I am already getting that scoring line, those scoring lines. And I'm going to score the other side, which is also cut at an angle. Add my magic water on both sides and join. So that what I get is a nice smooth join when I clean that up. Okay, and now I'm going to go around and press the clay in. Now usually when I do slab plates, I do them on the wheel, in that I put my slab down, my mold down on the wheel, and then I add my slab on top of it and I work from there. But what I found with this particular mold is that because the rim is a little uneven because of the texture on the inside, and I do get some wobbling, and I don't want there to be any warpage or up and down on the plate, uneven parts, because that's going to cause warping in the kiln. So I'm doing it here on the banding wheel. So I'm finished with pressing it in, and I'm using the same technique on the inside as I'm using on the outside, where I am pressing both parts down. So this finger is going down at the same time this one is going down. Especially by the join. Okay, so now I take this tool, and this is what's left from a ribbon tool. A small ribbon tool, and the top came off, but I found that this handle has a nice angle so that I can get, when I'm making when I'm adding attachments, I can use that to get the attachments where I want. So I go around both inside and out, just making that, sealing the foot to the base of the plate. Now at this stage, I will leave the plate. I will go cover it down, just to let it set up a little bit, get to leather hard before I take care of the rim and before I finish up on the foot, refining the foot and making it look cute, right? But that's it for now. Another series of videos will show you how I go about with decorating and glazing. Thanks for watching.